The next video, we're going to focus on Antony and Octavian and their rivalry between 41 and 40 BC, towards the start of the second triumvirate. They haven't been in power jointly very long, and already the rivalry between them will eventually lead to another civil war is starting to show itself. We need to go through the twists and turns of all this. So twists and turns of the rivalry, understand why unity between them was impossible in the Roman system, and evaluate the sources. Plutarch. Fulvia, the wife of Mark Antony. Remember, all the time Mark Antony was gallivanting off with Cleopatra in Tarsus and then Alexandria. He's already married, got a Roman wife, Fulvia. Lucius Antonius, his brother Lucius, Antony's brother Lucius. Octavia is the sister of Octavian. Parthia, their great enemy in the east. Sextus Pompeius, the son of Pompey the Great. Sicily worships blockade. You block somebody into a port, you blockade them. Ventidius is another Roman general. So, the second triumvirate comes into power after the death of Julius Caesar. If you remember, you've got Mark Antony takes the east, you've got Octavian takes the west, and Lepidus takes the south, Africa, that sort of thing. But it doesn't take long for the rivalry between these two men to break out into something like war. We're going to spend most of this video looking at the sources. Here's Plutarch again. While Antony was playing the young fool, so Plutarch's already saying it's all Antony's fault. He's an idiot. In the east with Cleopatra. Two messages arrive for him. First, from Rome. Lucius, his brother, and Fulvia, his wife, had fallen out, and then they'd started a war with Octavian. They started another little civil war, but they've lost badly, and they fled from Italy. So Antony gets a message that his brother and his wife are fighting with Octavian in Italy, and have lost. He then gets the message, this guy here, Labienus, leading a Parthian force, is overrunning Asia from the Euphrates and Syria as far as Lydia and Ionia. When the Romans say Asia, they mean their eastern part of their empire, Turkey, part of Syria, modern-day Israel, so not all of Asia. Still bad news, Parthians are attacking. Then, so finally, like a man woken up from a deep sleep brought on by a night of heavy drinking. Again, Plutarch saying this is all to do with Antony's weakness and foolishness. He said to stop the Parthians. But just as he sets off, he gets a letter from his wife saying what's happened, complaints, and he turns round and heads towards Italy to try and sort all this out. On the way, he finds out it's Fulvia's fault that she started the war, because she was a naturally sort of energetic woman who likes to get involved in men's affairs. Again, Roman misogyny. They do not like it when women get involved in politics. But interestingly, Plutarch gives the reason for this. In this way, she had hoped to draw Antony away from Cleopatra. Again, Plutarch showing Fulvia as only being involved in politics for a sort of womanly reason, to try and get Antony back from Cleopatra. However, Fulvia is not a big part of the story, because as she's sailing off to meet Antony, she dies. Becomes ill, she dies. Then, because Antony and Octavian are not yet ready for war, neither militarily, especially Octavian, nor politically. They're still Romans ruling the Roman Empire, joining together, they take triumvirs. They don't want to go to war yet. They don't want to look like the bad guy. So, according to Plutarch, the death of Fulvia is an opportunity for Antony and Octavian to be reconciled. Octavian clearly showed he had no wish to accuse Antony of causing the war, but blamed Fulvia. Friends of the two men did not allow the excuse given to be questioned. Instead, they made peace between them and divided the leadership of the empire, drawing a boundary with the Ionian Sea and to the east, Octavian the west, and Lepidus was allowed at Africa. Yeah. Let's move on. Both sides thought this arrangement reasonable, especially Antony and Octavian. Lepidus, we're not quite sure about it. He's just got North Africa. They decided they needed some strong connection, and that is Octavia. Octavia is the eldest sister of Octavian. Octavian's very fond of his sister. And here we get the start of propaganda about how fantastic Octavia is. She's a marvel of woman. Her husband, a guy called Marcellus, had died earlier. She's now a widow. Antony too, Fulvia, is a widower. So he did not deny his affair with Cleopatra. He did not, however, agree that she was his wife. He admits they're sleeping together, having an affair with her, but he's not married to her. So everyone was working to arrange this marriage between Octavia and Antony. They hoped that Octavia, who had great dignity and common sense to add to her beauty, would stand by Antony's side and eventually be loved by him, as was natural with such a woman. In this way, they hoped she would bring some stability and safety for their affairs and harmony for the world. So Octavia is this great beauty, and more than that, she's this perfect Roman woman. She's dignified, she stays in the background, she doesn't get involved, she's loyal. She's everything Cleopatra is not. Now, before we finish, let's have a look at a question. Why are our sources so keen to include Cleopatra in this Roman civil war? Two Roman warlords in temporary agreement, obviously heading towards civil war at some point in the future. Now, the first triumvirate ended this way. Everyone should be able to see the second triumvirate heading this way. Two men with ambition. What's it got to do with Cleopatra? Why is Cleopatra blamed for all this? Well, I think what we should, the line we should take, and you should take this in the exams if it comes up. Cleopatra is the scapegoat. Someone's got to be to blame for all this, and whoever's writing these histories doesn't want it to be Octavian, and he doesn't want it to be Mark Antony either. Therefore, let's pick the foreign female monarch. Cleopatra, it's all her fault. And it's really a form of propaganda. It's state propaganda. Picking the cause of the war and blaming it all on them, Cleopatra. It's to do with this word here, narrative. Plutarch and the other sources we look at are all part of a narrative, a story that's being told. In this story, it's all Cleopatra's fault. And at the root of this, we have to look at the Emperor Augustus. At the point we're talking about, he is one of the triumvirate, he's Octavian. He's going to become Augustus in the future, the first emperor. And during his long reign, he had this narrative created, where he's the hero of the story. Mark Antony is a fool, but Cleopatra's the bad guy. So I think we're talking about here an Augustine narrative. Propaganda, everything's blaming Cleopatra. She's a scapegoat for everything.